Chickity check. Hi guys, just very quickly while you eat, we just want to let you know we're extending the silent auction until 7:45. If you are having any issues with the silent auction, any issues with bidding or any questions, there is a man out there named Drake. Find Drake, not the singer, but Drake. You can find him out there. He'll actually help you with any questions you have as far as the bidding, but we're going to do that until 7:45 instead of 7:30, all right? Continue.
one's really goofy. It's a fun one. I haven't played the first violin part, so that'll be fun. I'm not really going to do the tempo changes. That's not just tempo changes.
Does she know that? No tempo changes.
No tempo changes.
Too much. What about the Valentino's? No.
All right, everybody, as you continue to eat your delicious food, we want to let you know that we are kicking off the virtual portion of the night. We've got virtual guests joining us, and we're so very excited. Welcome to the JCOC's 35th anniversary Black and White, I say gala, but I've been told gala, tomato, tomato, but gala. They're going to be watching from states from Ohio. We've got Virginia, Kentucky, and Michigan. So again, hello to our virtual guests. And because our virtual guests are now just joining us, I'm going to run through the list of the guests that we have here in the audience. So please join me again in welcoming Virginia Beach Councilman. We've got Mike Berlucci, who is here. Delegate Glenn Davis's wife, Shelley, is in the building. Hi, Shelley. Senator Bill DeSteff is at my table. We got former Congresswoman Thelma Drake and her husband, Ted Drake. Hello. Virginia Beach's Mayor Bobby Dyer is also here. Thank you, Mayor. From Congresswoman Elaine Luria's Virginia Beach office, we've got District Director Dr. Charles L. Stuppard and his wife, Nita. And of course, Ann Farrell Tata, candidate for the House of Delegates in the 82nd District of Virginia Beach, and her husband, Bob Tata, as well. So thank you all again for joining us. A huge and grateful thank you to our event sponsors. We could not do this without you, our board of directors, the JCOC staff, everyone involved, and of course the Gala committee, all the workers serving you food, everyone that's just been a part of this night has really made this such a special event. So thank you for your time. Thank you for being here. We are now going to show you a fantastic video thanking our sponsors. We've got a lot of them. So let's get to the video.
"35 years of help, hope, and healing. The resources we provide as the help, I think anytime you help someone, you manifest hope within them. So the hope comes. And then the healing piece, anytime somebody deals with something traumatic that you experience in your life, there's a healing process that takes place. And there's no specific timeline on how long that can go.
I've been off and on the street since I was 16 years old. My parents left me, stayed up and just left me, so I've been staying with friends off and on. I first learned of JCOC in 1989. I was there waiting to eat like everybody else was, and Dick comes up, asks people to come and set tables up, and so I started helping doing that and everything.
Dick Powell was a master of everything that JCOC did. He instigated it, he worked on it, he talked other people into working on it, and he was just a fantastic person.
We were feeding once or twice a week, and the people started asking, well, where do we get meals the rest of the week? So Dick and I were talking and said, well, let's try serving it every day. And we just kept lining churches up to serve, and 4, 5, 6 came, and then other churches looking for outreach heard about it and came.
During the wintertime, he used to keep people in there sometimes. If people couldn't get into the winter shelter, he opened that up if it was real cold.
JCOC's mission is to empower homeless families, veterans, and individuals to overcome their crisis situation and return to being self-sufficient, independent, productive members of the community. To empower means to invest. The community invests in us and then gives us an opportunity to invest in the less fortunate that we serve in the community.
Just seeing people coming back to you a year later or 2 years later and say, boy, did you make a difference in my life.
Yeah, without JCOC, I'd be down sleeping on the boardwalk.
And it's a real honor and privilege to be able to be part of something bigger. To spread the love around is a great joy, and to help the group and to really get to know people.
What makes JCOC unique is just the partnerships we have with the faith-based community. We're starting to build up our relationships more with the business community, which is awesome because it gives us an opportunity to educate them and kind of dispel some of the myths. But the faith-based organizations have always kind of been our backbone. The food programs, 3 programs, our community dinner, which is our longest tenure program. And then we have a food pantry and a food box program for families with children under the age of 18.
Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to have a wonderful restaurant cater our food in this evening.
Community dinner is awesome because that is our community partnering with us as an organization and then being able to meet the need immediately with some of our people out there that are struggling with food insecurity and homelessness in our community. So when somebody comes, it may be the only meal they have that day. It also cultivates the spirit of giving back because we've had so many people that have sat in that seat at dinner but have turned around years later and have came back to volunteer and help and serve others who were in the position that they were in years ago.
I've always thought that the donations came in from people knowing about JCOC, and the community dinner was one of the ways we did that.
People really appreciate what we do. I had a young lady the other day, Kim, who is just starting to work. Her husband's on disability, and she came up to me and said, I don't know what I would do without the JCOC. We're just paying off our phones, we're just paying off our rent, and we can't really afford food, and this has saved our lives.
I love our housing programs. Our approach is a housing first approach. So years ago, there was a, tough love and those things worked back then. But I think what I've appreciated about JCOC is we've been able to evolve from that. And then the housing first model basically says that anybody that walks through your door is ready for housing. All of our housing programs are specific for individuals versus families. We have a 55-bed shelter.
Yes, I was in emergency shelter twice.
We have a transitional housing program for homeless veterans, permanent supportive housing program for people who are facing disabilities and have been homeless long term. Our day support program really is an entry point to those housing programs. People being able to come in and utilize taking a shower, do laundry, and just get educated on other resources that they can get connected to address whatever barriers they may have to housing. And then also our rapid rehousing program, where we partner with community landlords and property owners to negotiate affordable rents and then be able to provide housing stability to those individuals once they go into housing.
You take them out of the tent, you get them in a place to live, and then you counsel them, and you just try to make their life better immediately. And I like that.
I moved into my place, finally, on June 25th of this year. My biggest just has been sleeping and getting used to sleeping in a bed and stuff.
I'm excited about the vision for the future. Having an opportunity to build 38 affordable housing units here, in addition to a new and more efficient dining hall, new admin offices, creating opportunities for other partnerships, whether it be in the mental health field and substance abuse, being able to create more partnerships to be able to wrap those services around the clientele that we serve.
They do a lot for people. If somebody wants to offer you help, take it, because you don't get it very often.
This is a wonderful organization to be involved with. If you have it in your heart to come and serve the community and really want to help other people, absolutely, do it. Come on in.
35 years is phenomenal. I'm just happy that God assigned JCOC to be able to do his work through us to be able to serve the community for that long of a time. So I don't take that for granted, and I think our rebuild and our vision for the future will keep us here for a long time to continue doing those things that we're doing and more.
All right, that's what it's all about right there, guys. So I'm thrilled to bring to the stage really the man behind all of this as far as the JCOC. Todd Walker, if you could come on up. He is the executive director. This is the man. This is the JCOC right here. And we're going to have a little interview. Todd, come on up. I feel like this is like a talk show. This is going to be exciting for me. I've never done this. Hello, sir. Are we on? Is he on?
Hello, everyone. I'm a little nervous now. I didn't realize there was this many people.
This isn't like radio. We've done this before on the radio, but it's totally different because nobody can see us. So first of all, Todd, very, very excited to have you. Like I said, I've gotten to do a couple interviews with you and learned a lot about the JCOC. So this is different and exciting to be here for this 35th anniversary. It's exciting, yeah?
Yes, it is. Very exciting. So happy to be here. Thank all of you for being here tonight. Give yourselves a hand. You look beautiful.
35 years of helping the community. Todd, what are some of your thoughts about achieving these great milestones so far?
Well, as I said in the video, I'm thankful that God breathed life into our organization to really empower us to be able to help the less fortunate in the community. One of the things I've been reflecting on, I'm thinking 35 years. Anybody thought about what were you doing 35 years ago? I was preparing for a high school football game, so that tells you how amazing God is that I'm sitting here today sharing with you. So just thinking about our amazing programs that we have, our dining hall, which was our longest tenure program. And I think one of the myths that has really occurred about our dining hall is sometimes, people like to think that we're just giving food out and we're not doing anything to build our homeless brothers and sisters up, but nothing can be further from the truth. And I want everybody to understand that when we provide meals, it's not just for the homeless. There's a population out there in the community that are struggling with food insecurity. So they have a place to live, they have money that goes toward the rent, but they don't have any money to go toward their food. And so us having an opportunity, being able to provide them food, there's really no type of number we can put on how many people we've actually kept in housing versus, being able to provide for the homeless. But we did do some numbers. We've provided over 2 million meals since 1986.
It's incredible.
Yep. And also we've helped about little over 5,000 individuals in the housing, which is extremely important as well, and about 1,000 over the last 7 years. So we really put a focus on trying to evolve to make sure that we can meet our clients' needs.
If you guys don't know, Todd's goal is clear for the JCOC: eliminate hunger and homelessness right here in Virginia Beach, tackle recidivism, which I learned that word today, is very cool, and ensure homelessness is rare, brief, and non-recurring. Having served in leadership positions for more than 29 years, Todd's experience includes working in the areas of substance abuse, which we talked about before, mental health, juvenile justice, adult corrections, and homelessness. You've recently also, Todd, had an anniversary of your own, 9 years as the JCOC's executive director. That's a long time. Very cool. Who are one or two memorable clients that pop into your mind? I know that's tough. It's like asking who your favorite child is, but we're going to try to pick two if we can.
I guess since I'm up here and you only have your 35th anniversary once, so how about I share 3 stories?
You are the man. You can do whatever you want.
So, as I mentioned before about the community dinner is so impactful. So one story is a gentleman we had named Melvin, and he had came to me to tell me that he had to go to court the following day and that he was pretty sure he was going to get locked up. The judge had told him that if I see you again, you know, I'm going to lock you up. And so he was very depressed, and he wanted to know if we would hold his belongings. And so I told him we would. So that night at dinner, we had a church come in, and he ended up connecting with some of the members of the church and struck up a conversation and really enjoyed himself that last night before he had to go to court the next day, in off places, Chesapeake. And so when he went to court the next day, one of the ladies that he struck up a conversation with was coming out of the courtroom as he was going in. She was an attorney. And she asked him, did he have representation, which he didn't. And she said, well, now you do. And she was able to go in and explain to the judge that he had made the decision to come into JCOC to address his issues, and the judge gave him a second chance, and I'm happy. Our staff really worked hard with him, and he's been in housing over 6 years now. So that's what it's all about. Now this second story is one of my favorite stories. We have a client now in our permanent supportive housing program named Rabbit. His nickname is Rabbit. His real name is Danielle, but he would come to the dinner for like 20 plus years. This man was homeless for over 20 years. And he kind of had a little rhythm where he would live outside in the summer, and in the wintertime he would participate in our winter shelter program. And so he ended up having a stroke outside and had to go to the hospital and nearly lost his life. And so when he got out of the hospital, he came to our dinner, and he had already developed a strong relationship with our staff, and he said, I don't want to die outside. And luckily for him, we ended up having a permanent supportive housing unit available for him. And once he was able to go into housing, one of the valuable lessons I learned from him was he had slept outside so much, he had put 2 chairs together and put a blanket over the chair to make a makeshift tent. And he slept on the floor like his first 2 weeks in the unit. And so that's when I really understood that the work doesn't stop when you put the key in the door. That's really when the work begins. And so we had to really work with him and encourage him that, hey, you have a bed to sleep in, and work with him on some other issues too. And I'm proud to say he's still in our program and doing extremely well. So it really shows the power that when you are able to house somebody and wrap services around them, you know, that's the key. You know, for many years, we were very program-centered. So we felt the programs is what made you be successful. We weren't trying to fix the issue. We were trying to fix the person. And in this arena, you can't do that if you want to achieve true success. And so we've seen that with him, and he's doing extremely well. And then my last story is a lady named Patricia, which is really my most memorable client that I've had. When I started, she came up to me and she said, you know, you're the 4th executive director that JCOC ever had. And I was like, oh, okay. And she said, and I've been here 12 times. But she kind of said it with like a badge of honor. And it made me wonder, how are we failing her? You know, to where she's coming back in the program 12 times and so unsuccessful. And one of the lessons and she really helped plant the seed for us to become what we call housing first. And that means that everybody has the fundamental right to housing, everybody. It doesn't mean that you have to go to an activity or you have to stay clean or you have to participate in a program in order to get housing. No, you deserve housing now. And so we really that conversation really sparked my research to start looking about how can we change. And it was funny because right after that, I met with our staff and I told them, I said, every time you write somebody up, I want a copy of it. And so for 3 months, I was getting a ton of papers, a lot of trees that got killed during that time. And at the end of the 3 months, I had a stack of paper about this high. And so when I met with the staff, I said, our job is to end people's homelessness. And I said, all the work that you've put into creating this stack of paper, none of it's talking about housing. You understand what I'm saying? So we made the shift to say, you know what? It's not about programs per se, it's about the people and getting to learn and understand the people that you're serving and know that every program needs to be specific and unique to that person. There's no cookie cutter things that you can do with the clientele that we serve because everybody's issue is unique. So those three stories really have helped shape me as an executive director and also has shaped us as an organization.
Fantastic. Now, wonderful stories. What about the pandemic? I know the pandemic kind of ruined a lot for a lot of people. How did the pandemic impact the JCOC's operations for the last year and a half?
Well, I definitely want to say if any of my staff are in here, could you just please briefly stand? Any of the staff?
Yeah, please.
Please give them a
JCOC
hand.
staff, where you at?
There's a little saying I like to say about them. They showed up and they showed out. They really took charge of the situation, and even though we were all fearful, because back in March of 2020, we had no idea what COVID was about, pandemic. We were still trying to learn things and still learning things now. And they were just so powerful in their stance to say, you know what, there's people that are more vulnerable than us. And really, COVID made the homeless population even more vulnerable. You got a vulnerable population on the streets, and then what were we all told to do? Quarantine. And a homeless person can't quarantine. And so we stepped up. We had a shelter continue to run 24/7. Our kitchen managers came to me before I could even say anything to them and said, Todd, we're not closing. You know, we're going to figure out a way. And we ended up adapting and giving out to-go meals and that type of thing to make sure that we can continue to serve our clientele. And then also we ended up getting some money from the state where we could do our rapid rehousing program. One of the things that we do is our shared housing model. And so we're able to convince landlords to not put a lease on the house. Say we got a lease on the house, Devin, and you and I are both on the lease and you don't pay your rent and I pay mine. Both our housing's in jeopardy. And so we start convincing landlords to put leases on the rooms versus just on the whole house, and making sure we try to match the right people to go in the housing so they can have that supportive system together as a unit. And we were tasked back in August of 2020 to house 60 extremely vulnerable individuals in housing. These are individuals that were taken off of the street and put in hotels during the pandemic. And I'm pleased to say tonight we had 58. With 2 left to go, and we're really working hard to put people in housing despite the pandemic. You know, we never stopped, and like I said, our staff stepped up, and they're the reason we were able to have so much success during COVID.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Woo. Has the face of homelessness changed over the last year and a half, would you say?
Well, I think so. I think there's a situation now where, you know, we're seeing, I attended a meeting the other day, and the group that spoke was talking about how there's a lot of private funders right now that are buying up properties and then fixing up the properties and then jacking up the rent. And so really it's lessening the housing inventory for the middle class and the lower class. And then if we know if that happens, then what happens to the people who are living below the poverty line that we end up serving? So it has changed in that sense. And then we also, the eviction moratorium just ended October the 3rd, I believe. So there's still going to be a ton of new faces that end up, you know, becoming homeless for the first time. And I think it's important that organizations like myself and others are able to kind of meet those needs as quickly as possible because, like I said, homelessness is traumatic. And really, there's a lot of issues, and I want everybody to hear this tonight. You know, alcohol and mental health doesn't necessarily mean those things are going to cause you to become homeless. They are root causes at times for specific individuals. But there is a lot of people that once they become homeless, those issues develop because now you're trying to survive on the streets. And you can't be telling people, hey, you need to stay clean or you need to get stabilized on your medications, but they don't know where they're going to lay their head at night. So, you know, those are changes we're seeing. And even in our food pantry, at one point we had like 100 new families that signed up for food services. So, you know, with people's employment being infected and those type of things, you know, our services are really needed more than ever right now.
Let's talk about the campus rebuild, the JCOC's campus rebuild. What's the latest with that? Because that's exciting.
Yeah, well, our goal is to raise $10 million. We'll be okay going beyond that, but that's what our goal is now. So right now we're at about 1.5 million, and we still haven't really got out there yet to do our ask and that type of stuff. We hadn't rolled it out. We're in our silent phase now. So we're excited about it. 38 SRO units, new admin offices, so it gives us an opportunity to continue to grow as an organization. When I started at JCOC, we had 9 employees. That's it, 9 full-time employees. Today we have 23 full-time employees and about 16 part-time employees. So we've really been able to grow to meet the need. And so the development will really help us, you know, a new dining hall, more efficient. And to be honest with you guys, I mean, there's too much money that I'm pouring into fixing the buildings. I'm just being honest with you. You know, I need that money allocated to the clients because that's truly where it's needed. And we're excited about it. We think it's going to be transformational for the city. We're really working with different people. Mayor Dyer's been extremely supportive. Senator Bill DeSteff's been there with us since the beginning, since we started. So we're really trying to push the envelope to get everybody involved, to let them know that this is not just for JCOC, this is for our city.
That's awesome. Wow. I really think God put you in this position for a reason. I mean, I can't think of anyone better to be the executive director for such an incredible organization than Todd Walker. Guys, anything else that you would like to add about tonight, about the mission, about JCOC?
Well, I want to say we do have some clients that we have that have benefited from our services and doing well. And if you would like to stand, please stand. If not, I understand. But there's some clients that have really benefited and are doing well. And I want all of you to know that this is why we're here tonight. There
we go. Woo-hoo! Yes, there's more of them. All right, yes.
So see, that's why we do what we do, because it's important. If we all take a moment to really reflect on our own lives, especially when I look at my life. You know, I was telling somebody, I think I was telling Kathy, our guest speaker earlier, I said, when I think about my life, I think about a bunch of handprints all over me because I had so many people that invested in me, especially when I didn't believe in myself. And we tell all of our clients, there's a reason your windshield is bigger than your rearview mirror. Because what's out ahead of you is much bigger than what's been behind you. And I remember I would speak to the clients sometimes and I would tell them to give themselves a hand and they would kind of look at me crazy like, why we're in the homeless shelter, why are we clapping right now? But I would tell them that whatever led you here, it didn't take you out. So that means that God still has plans for you moving forward and we're a part of helping you reach those plans. So I just want to leave you with Hebrews 13, chapter 13, verse 16, which says, you know, make sure that we do good and share what we have with others because that type of sacrifice is pleasing to God. Tonight, we have an opportunity to transform people's lives for the better. And your support tonight and moving forward will ensure that we're around for another 35 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, Todd Walker, everybody. Thank you so much, Todd. Wow. Nice job.
Thank you, sweetheart.
You're very welcome. Good job. Todd Walker, everybody. Thank you so much, Todd. Yes. This is the man right there. It's that passion. We love that passion. That set the perfect tone for our next speaker. I'm very excited. I'll tell you a little bit about Kathy Izard, you guys. She launched the pilot program Homeless to Homes for the Interfaith Urban Ministry Center in Charlotte, North Carolina. She led the citywide effort to build More Place, Charlotte's first permanent supportive housing for chronically homeless men and women. She wrote about these efforts in her memoir, The 100-Story Home, which received a 2017 Christopher Award and has sparked interest across the country to build housing. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm thrilled to bring up to the stage Kathy Izard.
Hopefully I'm mic'd and you can hear me. Yay. Okay, I've been to a lot of cities. You guys have gold here with Todd Walker, so I hope you know that. I hope you guys support him. He is really unbelievable. So we were talking today, I think it's a God moment that we're meeting each other. So I'm so excited to have been brought here, just if nothing else, to meet you, Todd, so thanks. But I am very excited to be part of your big gala tonight. Thank you guys so much for inviting me. I got to tour today and not only hang out with Todd, I got to meet all of your board members at a great lunch today and really see the work that you guys were doing. And really what is so impressive and what comes through is the people that you have working for the JCOC and the heart and soul that is shining through this organization with help. So anyway, it was really impressive to see what you're doing. And the story that I'm going to tell tonight is kind of about a very similar place with lots of heart and soul in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I'm going to tell you about how when I was working there and thinking that I was helping people find their way home, really in doing that work, I found my own way home. And if you don't get anything else from tonight, I hope that's the message that you get, because really in helping others, we heal ourselves. And the fact is, one person truly can make a difference, and I hope from the stories that you hear tonight that you start believing that you can as well. If you are already volunteering and donating with the JCOC, perhaps you were like me, you were raised to do good. I grew up in El Paso, Texas. I was one of 3 girls in a family, and this was my dad with my sister Louise on his shoulders. And you could see in our house, even when we were playing something like blocks with those cardboard bricks, there was no playing small in our house. We were supposed to dream big and reach for the stars. And at a time when, a lot of, young girls were being raised to think about, well, having family and raising kids, my dad thought that was really important, and he hoped that for all 3 of his daughters, that we would get married and have families. But really what my dad wanted to talk about is, how are you going to change the world? How are you going to leave the world a better place? And he used to tell me, you can do anything, Kathy, really anything. And I know that my dad wanted that to be empowering, but at the same time, I think it was kind of paralyzing, because how do you live up to that, right? I mean, he had such big dreams for us, and I wasn't sure that I knew how to do that or how to live up to that. And so by the time that I did actually get married and have my own family, we dreamed big in the girl department. So we had 2 daughters, and our third try for a boy was twin girls. So there we are. And so I wasn't really changing the world or lighting the world on fire, but I did want to raise our daughters in the same way that I'd been raised, is to do good. And so I started asking myself, well, how are we leaving the world a better place? What are we doing? And that's how we ended up down at kind of our JCOC, which at the time was called the Urban Ministry Center. It's now called Roof Above in Charlotte, North Carolina. And so we would take our daughters down there one Sunday a month, and we would serve soup. And I know you guys call it communal dining, which is such a better term, but we do call it a soup kitchen where we were. And so we were working in the soup kitchen one Sunday a month. And my kids loved it. We would go down there, and it was kind of like that children's story, Stone Soup. You weren't sure how many people were showing up. You just grabbed everything out of the refrigerators and just started making as much as you can. And it really became our favorite thing to do. We'd wake up on Sunday, and my kids would say, "Is it Soup Kitchen Sunday?" And we'd be like, "No, it's regular Sunday." And they'd be like, "Oh, man." And so it just became our favorite thing that we did together. I put the picture there of a gentleman serving a meal, because I kind of wanted you to see the way that our soup kitchen was set up. And the volunteers would kind of stay in the kitchen and cook, and then we'd put the meals out. Our guests would come and get the trays and then keep going. And the reason I put that there is because I want it to be clear where I was for 10 years at the Urban Ministry Center. I was behind the counter. And frankly, I was fearful to step around the counter and really get to know people. And my kids were so much braver than I was. They would always just, grab the trays and the brownies and the extra drinks and run and sit down with people. But I stayed behind the counter for a good 10 years because I think I wasn't really sure why someone became homeless. But I thought it might have a little something to do that related to my own family. You know, my father and mother were great parents. My mother, however, suffered from a bipolar disorder. So there was a lot of chaos in our house from time to time. And I wasn't sure why someone might experience homelessness, but I was fearful that, you know, that myth that everyone has mental health challenges. And I thought, well, I've never been able to help my own mother, so what else could I do here? So I told myself that story for 10 years, and it all changed in 2007 when I read this book called Same Kind of Different as Me. Maybe some of you have read it or seen the movie. But I read this book, and if you haven't read it, it's by Ron Hall and Denver Moore. Denver Moore had experienced homelessness in Dallas-Fort Worth for almost 30 years. And he met Ron Hall in the soup kitchen. Frankly, I think Ron went there to get some brownie points with his wife. He was kind of in the doghouse, and he thought, well, if I go volunteer with her at her thing down there, that'll work out well for me. And I think really Ron, and he writes in this book, that he thought, you know, I'm going to go to this, you know, Dallas-Fort Worth soup kitchen, and I'm going to, you know, reach down in the gutter, and I'm going to help somebody up. And you know what? He met Denver Moore, and Denver Moore saved him right back. And they became not only friends, they became family. And Ron and Debbie did something pretty extraordinary. They didn't just befriend Denver and continue to work. They invited him to live in their home, and they ended one person's homelessness. I thought that was pretty strong. Not only their relationship with each other and what they did, but this book haunted me in a way I can't really explain. And I had this crazy whisper that I should invite these guys to Charlotte for something like this, that I should have a fundraiser and invite them to come. Now, at the time, there was nothing planned. There was no dinner, but I called them up and invited them, and they came. And all of a sudden, I was in charge of a 1,000-person event like this, had never done it. I was a graphic designer. I was a mom. I didn't know what I was doing. The organization, it was their very first one. And I kept thinking, why in the world did I listen to that whisper? That was crazy. And I can tell you now, the reason is so that I could have a conversation with Denver that would change my life forever. So the day before our luncheon, I'm taking him down to the Urban Ministry Center, and I'm showing him everything that we're doing. I'm showing him our food. I'm showing him where people get mail. I'm showing him all of our amazing programs. I mean, we have a soccer program, an art program, a garden program. I mean, really not to make happier homeless people, but to build the trust and relationships that you want. And I'm really waiting for Ron to say, for Denver to say, oh my gosh, great job, you know? You guys are first-rate homeless services. This is amazing. And the other thing that I thought he might do was say something pretty profound. This is something from his book. The truth about it is, whether he's rich or poor or something in between, this earth ain't no final resting place. So in a way, we're all homeless, just working our way towards home. So I'm waiting for this moment that Denver's really just gonna, say something like this or change someone's life or give us a giant pat on the back. And he wasn't. He was looking exactly like he was in that photo a minute ago. Very stern, kind of confused, and not really sure what I was talking about. And so I started talking faster. I was all nervous, and I'm trying to tell him all the great stuff that we were doing because maybe I wasn't really communicating how awesome we were. And he finally stopped me, and he said, "Can we go upstairs now?" And I said, "Well, there's nothing up there. There's just offices." And he said, "Well, where are the beds?" And I said, "Oh, no, you weren't listening. Like, we are a soup kitchen, we're a day ministry, the shelter's 2 miles down the road." And he interrupted me right back. And he said, "Do you mean to tell me you do all this good in the day and you lock them out to the bad at night?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Does that make any sense to you?" And I gotta say, 10 years. 10 years I'd been going down there. 10 years, I knew that we opened our gates at 8:30. I knew we closed them at 4:30. And I had never once asked myself what happened in between. Does that make any sense to you? I said, nope. And he said, are you going to do something about it? So that was my moment, right? I love this quote. How will I live now that I have seen? I think that's a question for all of us, right? There's a time and a place, and there's at some point we see something one way, and all of a sudden someone shows it to us another way, and you can't unsee it. You can't go back. And you have to decide, what am I willing to do? Well, I tried to go home and go to sleep and forget about it, but I couldn't. And so finally, after 2 months, I ended up quitting my job, closing my graphic design firm, and going to work for the urban ministry to figure out, what did it mean? What did it mean to build beds? What did it mean to do homes? What were we even talking about? And I found out it was exactly what Todd Walker has been talking about tonight. It's housing first. That you don't say, well, gosh, as soon as you get clean, as soon as you get sober, as soon as you get a job, as soon as you go to a psychiatrist, then we're going to help you get a house. You say, just by virtue of the fact that you're a human being, you deserve to be housed. And you take someone exactly where they are, and you put them into housing, and you ask them, what is it that you need to be successful? And this was happening all over the country. It just wasn't happening in Charlotte, North Carolina. And we started a pilot program called Homeless to Homes. And we decided we're going to do this for 15 people and see if it works. And it took us, we had the money, the seed money, but it took us 6 months to find one landlord that would work with us. Because as soon as we got to the point where we said, okay, well, the folks who are going to be moving in are, chronically homeless, and we're paying their rent, but end of conversation. And we finally found one landlord to work with us, and on May 17th, 2008, we finally did something. We ended 4 people's homelessness that day. Someone moved in who'd been living in the shelter for 7 years because they had nowhere to go. Someone moved in from a barn because that's where they'd been sleeping. Someone moved in directly from an alcohol treatment program that they'd graduated from but had nowhere to go. And a woman who'd been living under cars for basically the last 8 years. And this is one of our friends. This is Eugene Coleman. If you see my children's book later, it's A Good Night for Mr. Coleman. It's based on his true life story. But this is where he used to sleep for almost 20 years, and this was on his first day of housing when he held up the keys, and he said, this is a Kodiak moment. And yes, Coleman, it was a Kodiak moment, and it was so amazing for us. And then I think we were scared to death because we thought, oh my gosh, we've housed folks, and that first night I didn't sleep because I thought, well, I don't think we ever thought what happens next, right? You start this and you house them, and then what? And I was terrified, like, what is this going to be? And then the next day I went into the Urban Ministry Center and I saw Helen. She was the first woman who was housed in our program. And she stood about this tall, and she was, fiery, and I was kind of scared of Helen, actually. And she came up and she gave me a hug like this. And I was like, oh my gosh, Helen, like, how are you? Like, how was your first night? And she said, oh my gosh, Kathy, it was amazing. Did you see how it rained last night? And I said, yeah. She goes, and I didn't get wet. And for all of us who were so worried that we couldn't be enough or do enough or know enough to run a program like that, it was so liberating to realize that was the bar for ourselves, is to make sure that people in this program didn't get wet. And that didn't just transform our clients, that started transforming what we were thinking. Because that was like, we'd found a cure for cancer, and we were only going to give it to 15 people. This is Eugene Coleman in his first year of housing, completely transformed. And so we thought, okay, we have got to dream bigger. We have got to do something more. And we got so excited, we said, we're going to launch a capital campaign. There's never been a capital campaign in the history of our organization, but we were going to do it. And we had a $10 million dream idea, very similar, funny, to where you are right now. And we got our first donor, and we were so excited that this was the building that we were going to put on it, and our donor was so excited. We got $500,000, and we rushed out, and we got our first piece of land. And this was the land that we were going to build it on. And it may look horrible to you, just like junkyard, and it was. It was a 2-acre junkyard with cars and oil barrels and all kind of things, and it might look hideous there, but it was beautiful to us because we could afford it. It was properly zoned, and we didn't have to ask anyone's permission to build. And we were so excited, we thought, oh, this is just going to be the best. And what we didn't realize is we'd launched our capital campaign in October of 2008. So if those of you can imagine what was happening in October of 2008 in Charlotte, North Carolina, in a banking city, we just lost everything. People had lost jobs, we lost stocks, the 2 places we would have gone for money, forget it. And so we just thought, well, we're going to have to take our dream and go home. And that's when the miracle started. I wrote in the 100-Story Home tons of miracle stories, but this one was my favorite. We'd gotten an article in the Charlotte Observer about our idea and what we were trying to do. And people were starting to catch on and ask us about it. And one day at my office, I got this envelope, just like a pink Hallmark card envelope. And I opened it up, and some dollars fell out. And it just said, "May God bless and multiply this small amount." And that was it. No name, no idea who it was from. And I thought, oh my gosh, someone sent us their last dollars to believe in this dream with us. Amazing. 2 weeks later, there was another one. Same thing, a card, envelope, a different set of dollars that fell out, no return address. They started coming every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks. I would get these cards. That was one of the actual letters that I saved that came with it. Always the same thing. May God bless and multiply this small amount. And it started working. It's like everyone was hearing the same whisper. We had some kids who did a lemonade stand and sent us $105. We had 2 college kids who biked across the United States and sent us $6,000. We had $10,000 gifts. We had $1 million gifts. And we did it. We rolled all that up, and we opened Moore Place, named in part for the man who inspired it, Denver Moore. And it stands today. It houses 120 chronically homeless men and women. The program since 2012 has now housed over 1,000 chronically homeless men and women in different apartments and buildings across Charlotte. Thanks. But what we didn't realize on grand opening day, as awesome as it was, is that the miracles were just beginning because the people were moving in. One of those people was Dale Haley. And Dale had one of the most unusual stories that we'd run across in Charlotte. I'd served this guy soup and meals 100 times. He had some mental health challenges, and staying in the shelter with 300 other men was not something he could do. And so he went out by the railroad tracks, and he found a 7x7 concrete platform. Now, some people might have pitched their tent on top of that platform, but Dale did something different. He dug a hole in the ground under that, and he lived in an 8x8-foot hole in the ground until the day he moved into Moore Place. And this is Dale on his first day of housing with his case managers that were going to help him be successful going forward. And that is the power of housing, just a little while later. But the most amazing thing about Dale Haley is that he solved our mailbox angel story. Because what he didn't know, what he couldn't tell us, is that he had a mom who loved him. And she knew that her son had become homeless. She didn't know how to find him. She didn't know how to help him. But she read about Moore Place in the paper. And she thought, I may not be able to help my son, but I could help someone's son. And I could send my cards and my prayers and my dollars and hope that someday it would help my son. And it did. Because the person who sent us those cards and letters for over 4 years was Frances Haley. It was Dale's mom. I love telling that story because it's so miraculous, it's true, and it's so what we all think. We think, my dollars won't matter. How could Frances's $10 ever matter on a $10 million capital campaign? We think, my time won't matter. What could a graphic designer ever do to solve homelessness? It's what all of us in this room sometimes think. What I'm doing is not enough. I can't be enough. But I hope tonight, in these stories, you hear that your time, it matters. Come volunteer for JCOC. Your dollars, every single one of them, matter tonight. Raise your paddles. Be incredibly generous. The people, every single life that they are helping and changing every single day, they matter. Desmond Tutu said, do your little bit of good where you are. It's those little bits of good that will overwhelm the world. Tonight, let's overwhelm JCOC with our little bits of good. Let's be outrageously generous for all the lives they change, for all the good they do, for all those yet to be housed. Let's raise our paddles tonight, and let's believe we can do anything, really anything. Thank you.
How on earth do you follow that up? Oh my gosh, I should have worn my waterproof mascara, and I'm a little mad that I didn't. Thank you, Kathy. My goodness, that was fantastic. Todd, if you could join me back on stage, I need you up here, Todd Walker. I'm also going to bring up Priority Automotive's Charities Beneficiaries Coordinator, Jessica Harvey. So Jessica, I need you up here on the stage as well. It's time for the big check, guys, the big check. This is always exciting. We'd also like to welcome Onyx Plus sponsor PRA Group's President and CEO, Kevin Stevenson. Kevin, if you could come on up as well. And I'd also like to bring Michelle Partridge Lane. She's also going to join me on the platform. She has served on the JCOC's board since 2018. She's also with Russell's Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electric. So Michelle, if you could also join me on stage. Is there a Michelle? There she is. Come on up. And Michelle, I'll give you this mic right here. Perfect. Well, actually, Michelle, it's your turn. So whoever's wanting to make a... Perfect. Jessica, we'll let Jessica start.
I just want to say we are truly blessed to work with the JCOC and Todd Walker and Kristen, and we are excited to see what you guys do with the future. And we are excited to partner with you guys in the future.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody. It looks great from up here. I could echo what someone said earlier. It's so great to see everybody together, and you're in 3 dimensions. It's not a Zoom meeting, right? I see Clark. I just want to say we're really thankful to be some part of JCOC. And what's interesting, I think, is if you think about where we're at tonight in Virginia Beach, our company, PRA Group, we're headquartered in Norfolk, Virginia. But we started our company right here, right in Pembroke. Just, I don't know what my directions are, probably that way. And there were just 4 of us on day one. And we had this idea that we could start a company like ours and do it the right way. But part of that was charitable giving. And hopefully everybody knows what I'm talking about. You're trying to, invest in the communities where you work and where you live. And it's so important. We've been doing it for a long time. So if you look at that allocation of capital, health and human services is a big percentage of it. And I think we can all agree that nobody fills that category better than JCOC does, right? And I say this all the time. They're efficient and effective, and they are good stewards of capital. So I'm with Kathy. Raise your paddles tonight, bid a bunch of money on anything you can, and be a part of what these guys are doing. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. There are going to be other ways that you can give, and I'm going to explain those to you here in just one second. They should pop up on the screen. Just kidding. Stand by. She's coming up. We're winging it, guys. We're winging it. All right, we're going to give you this mic over here.
So really, how do you follow that? I mean, we started tonight. I just want to say thank you for being here tonight, and what an amazing event this has been. Todd, your stories of our clients always touch our hearts and give us so much hope. Kathy, your book, The 100-Story Home, has been the catalyst that we've needed to launch our vision for the future of JCOC with confidence. Thank you for being here to celebrate with us. From our 35th anniversary video, you saw and heard about JCOC's humble beginnings and about our vision for the future. To see how far we have come, to see all that we have been doing, and to see what a difference we have made in the community is nothing short of amazing. But we still have so far to go. To know that by coming together to celebrate this monumental milestone of 35 years of serving in the community, that we right here can make an impact. I think we all get to a point in our lives where we question some things. We say, what am I doing that's making a difference? Do I have an impact on the lives around me? How am I a change maker? How am I serving out my higher purpose? And I think everybody tonight has the opportunity to know that I can make a difference, I am making a difference, and I will make a difference. And one of the most impactful ways we can do that is by giving and showing our financial support. And to know that one person, no matter how big or small that gift is, can be part of something bigger than all of us. That by joining together, we can all make an incredible impact here in Hampton Roads, and then we can take the power of one and one and one and one, and come together and provide help, hope, and healing. So I invite you to join me, and I invite you to join us by giving and making this 35th anniversary gala of JCOC the most impactful one yet. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Michelle. Now I'm going to try to show you the 3 other ways that you can give, because there are other ways that you can give. So as you can see, guys, you can give securely on jcoc.org by using the QR code. QR codes are interesting. They're like the new thing, but it's very easy to follow, so if you need any help, let us know. You can use a donation envelope at your table. You'll see that. Or you can just mail it to JCOC. The address is there. But, guys, there's multiple ways to give. Please give if you can, all right? So what we're going to do now is we do have to say goodbye to our virtual friends who joined us virtually. So goodbye to our virtual guests. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for taking the time to be a part of the JCOC's Black and White Gala. We appreciate you so much. It's so much nicer, though, to be here than I think to do it like a Zoom meeting. But we really appreciate you guys for being here. So I know we're excited to dance. We've all been sitting for a long time. Everyone wants to